Browns headed into the bye week, no game this weekend. Andrew Berry did meet with the media today. At 2-7, not much has gone right for the Browns. Andrew Berry was asked, was this year's roster not as good as they thought it was? And are the Browns looking at a long rebuild?
I think that's probably more of a reflection for after the season. I mean, look, at 2-7, we haven't played well, and in the NFL with the margins being so thin, it's not always just about talent. It's also about team building and how we marry everything on Sundays. But again, those are all things that we're looking into during the bye week, and obviously we'll do more analysis after the season. One of the beauties of the NFL is it's not like baseball. It's not like basketball where at times you may need these like half-decade long pivots or rebuilds. I think you see it every year with teams. Just the margins are so thin. And then honestly, with just the way that our sports works with player procurement, I don't think it's not like we're drafting a 16-year-old kid who's got to play 8 years in the minors before he comes and produces or something along those lines. So, I think generally you don't necessarily have to see those pivots in our sport.
Now let's welcome in Tim Bielik from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. So Tim, basically, he's saying they didn't play well, the roster isn't as bad as it looks, and the rebuild shouldn't be as long.
Yeah, I think I'm most inclined to agree with him about the last part, that it shouldn't be a long rebuild. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for me this season has been they just gotten subpar play from the quarterback position. Deshaun Watson did not look good for the most part this entire season, and then ruptured the Achilles, and then we saw the good and the bad with Jameis Winston the last 2 games. And bottom line, the offense hasn't been good enough for a multitude of reasons. Transitioning to a new scheme, trying to figure those things out. Offensive line against this season, of course, not having great play from the quarterback position. You add all that up, and I don't care how good your defense is in today's NFL. If your offense can't score, your defense is going to give up points, and that's kind of what we've seen happen this year. So I don't personally believe it's a long rebuild. Obviously, if this continues the way they are right now, they're tied for the worst record in the NFL. They're 2-7, so I think they do what the Washington Commanders do and get the right quarterback. I know much easier said than done given Cleveland's history with quarterbacks in the draft. I think you find that guy at the position, you fix the offense a little bit, you could turn this thing right back around. And I think the other thing is I feel like this is the danger of just deciding to run it back without making some changes. There's always the risk that you could fall into the trap of everything's going to be the same because we have the same guys, particularly on defense. And to be fair, last year they were the best defense in the NFL in terms of yards. And then you come into this season, you bring all those guys back, and it just hasn't been the same. So I think there's something to not always deciding that you want to run it back. You always want to keep things fresh. And I think that's kind of an underrated part of it. But for me, fix the quarterback. You should be good to go in 2025.